Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sheila here in Boho Daydreams, and welcome to my channel. Oh, it's a beautiful day today. It's amazing. Sun's shining, storms in the mountains. We're supposed to be getting snow, but we haven't. It's beautiful outside. Finished up the Beaded Dangle Challenge, and that was so much fun. I want to thank each and every one of you crafters who participated. That was so much fun. I'm hoping that the next challenge reaches even further, and I'm thinking maybe in January of doing an envelope challenge. But I'll see what happens. See how Christmas goes and New Year's and what all happens. But oh, I love envelopes. I did an envelope challenge in 2019, and that was a lot of fun. I probably I probably love envelopes as much as I love lace. Well, no, I don't think so, but it's close. It's really close. I really love those altered envelopes. Anyway, so what we're going to do today in this video, we're going to focus on the things that I never talked about in any of the loop videos that I did. So we're going to go over tools, we're going to go over wire, because those are two things that I had a lot of questions on. So you need your basic tools. Basic tools, and I've gone over this before. The basic tool is your needle nose pliers. That's essential for you. And it doesn't matter what what kind they are, as long as you have one. And I think, if you didn't have a needle nose pliers, you may be able to use like a skewer to wrap your wire around, but it would be challenging, and the skewer would probably break for some of the for some of the parts of the the wrapping of the wire. So investing in even a cheap set, and which is what this is, needle nose is essential. You'll need to have your flat needle nose pliers. These two pieces are the essential pieces. Then you need to have something that cuts your wires. And this is also kind of a half needle nose pliers. And it's a needle nose that's got the needle nose on one side, and then this kind of is a base where the needle nose itself, that tine, sits into. And so it grips the wire like this and rounds it. And then you twist it over. And this is a great pliers if you're only making loops. You're not making the wrap, then this is a good tool. I don't use it very often, but it intrigued me because it has such a fine tip on it. It's really, really fine, and I could make finer loops. I'm trying to show you. Oh, it's a challenge videoing. And then I also have these. These are wire straighteners, and they have silicone grips on the tines. And so I can take and pull wire through. Two purposes for that is straightens the wire, and it kind of puts a little bit of strength into the wire. We're going to go over wire next, and then I'll show you. So there's all sorts of wires, lots and lots of wires out there. And you need to get the wire that works best for you. And I'm just going to show you some of my favorites and why they're my favorites. So these two colored wires, my bronze colored and my red colored wire, are my favorite wires. They're multi-purpose. They are a 22 gauge wire, but they're also thin, almost thin enough, because I like to wrap my boho beads with beads, and I use a 24 gauge wire, or even a 28 gauge wire. But this wire works also because it's also a bit thinner. It will wrap around the bead quite nicely, and it also is strong enough that when you make the loop for the bottom, it holds the integrity of the loop. That little loop right there, if the wire isn't strong enough, that loop will give, and then your bead will fall off on the bottom. That's why I love these two wires. They're multi-purpose. I use them for either. These two are my 20 gauge wire, and these are like a half hard wire. Doesn't really say that, but they are half hard, and they have good strength in this wire. There's good strength in this wire. It's a little more difficult to bend, not hard to bend, but just a little bit more challenging to bend. But it will hold the loop very nicely. See that? It's really nice and strong. And I need to get more of this wire because this is it. I've used up all my wire. Those are my favorite wires to make the bead dangles with for the centers. And also my favorite if I'm doing boho beads too. It works really well. This is a half hard. This is a soft. This is a dead soft wire. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I'm trying to find the other end and it's kind of melted in with itself. This is a really soft wire. So this is one that you can like bend so easily. And if you bend it a couple of times, you can just rip things right off. It's very soft. I just ripped that little loop off by twisting it around a few times. Now, when you're straightening this wire, because this is dead soft, you straighten it a couple of times. This is where you're getting some of the strength for this wire. It's still really soft, but it's going to harden up just a little bit. And that's okay. This is a good wire. This is a really good wire if you're wrapping your boho beads. This is beautiful wire because it just wraps so easily. There's no strength needed to wrap this wire. It's very soft. But if you're making beads and you make a top and a bottom loop like that, they're called closed loops. If you do the closed loop on the top and the bottom, this wire is wonderful for that because as soon as you close the wire off, your beads aren't slipping off the bottom at all. And this is a very good all-purpose wire if you're using the closed loop top and bottom. If you're not, then this loop here on the bottom, that one, it will give way when you're putting tension on the top and wrapping. This will completely lose its form. Okay, and this one. This one here is 18 gauge wire, and I don't use this in my beading so much. I might if I was only doing open loops, not closing them off, I'd use this wire. This wire would hold up very well, but this wire is great if you're pounding the wire. If you're going to, when I put it on my anvil and I flatten a little bit to create a different type of dangle, this works really well. Then I want the thicker wire. And then we also have these. And these are pins. These are head pins. And these ones actually have a decorator head on them. This one's a flat. And then these ones are decorated. And these have a different tensile strength. They're a little stronger. These are definitely harder to bend, and these ones here, you have to be careful because you'll snap them. If you're twisting it around like that really quick to make that closed end, they break. So you might get 1.5 loops and then it's broken. Also, if you put too much pressure and force on the end, you pop these off very quickly because they're just soldered on. All right, so that's the education for the tools and the wire. Now I'm just going to, I have everything kind of organized here so that I can quickly do the demonstration and point out the different things that I never pointed out before. So we're going to work on the bottom and the top and how to apply enough strength and tension so that you get a nice straight looking bead that doesn't lose too much of its circle or the closed loop on the bottom. All right, so the only tools that I'm going to need are these two, because I already cut my wire, so I don't have to do that. So let's see, I grabbed the wrong wire. I want this wire. I want the 20 gauge wire. For a demonstration, I definitely want the 20 gauge wire. All right, so I'm just going to make the loop on the bottom. This here, I don't know that anybody didn't understand. That's not the issue. All right, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know, can you see that? Let's see here. Yes, good. Better keep that. We might need that. All right, so I'm just going to pop my beads on. I have so many packages here that I need to do my beads for that I thought I would quickly give a simple demonstration of this again. Let's see, where are they all? I hope everybody's having a good day. Let's see. I think I want that one on the bottom. I want to thank everybody for the good feedback that I did get on my beaded dangle challenge. I think you all enjoyed yourself, but I got a lot of good feedback. But I really do need help with being able to stay in camera frame, because I feel like, you know, I'm in frame right now, and then I move just a little bit and it seems like I'm still in frame, but I definitely am not. So, what do you do? All right, so let's see. Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Does that make it easier? You know, it would help if I had my glasses on. Definitely would help if I had my glasses on. See if I need to put that little guy in there. Nope, definitely not. That's not big enough for a little guy like that. Is that my big one? Yes, it is. Ooh, that's so pretty. That's so pretty. Okay, so we've got everything together, and we're not even going to worry about the loops. You're not going to worry about the loops being symmetrical. It doesn't matter. I just do it because for me it's a little OCD to have them the same, but it took a while for me to get the loop technique down. Things weren't even straight. Right now, it's just best to just practice with your favorite wire, and just practice the technique of tying off your beads. And if you don't like it, just cut the wire off and do it again until all of a sudden it just happens. It just happens. All right, so what I do is I take the bead and I hold it between my ring finger and my two other fingers. So it looks like this. But I'm holding the top cap. I just want it nice and tight. Nice and tight. And this is actually how I get my top and my bottom to actually be the same, because I'm putting pressure on here, pushing up, so that way this can't turn. This is pushing down, and it's held in there tight. It's not moving. Now I'm going to take this, the flat needle nose pliers, and I am going straight up to that bead. I'm kissing the bead with my pliers. It's got to kiss the bead in order to make that 90-degree bend. That's important. That keeps things tight right there. I continue like that. Now I'm going to grab my needle nose pliers, and I'm still, again, I'm at the base of the bead, and I'm touching that bead. I'm making contact with that bead. It doesn't matter how big I want my loop. I am contacting that bead. It's there. So I'm still holding on like I would. I'm keeping this wire away from me. I'm making connection with that bead, and now Now with this finger, my index finger, I'm going to take and start pushing this bead wire over, and then I just push it right over. And it touches. It just basically almost touches the bead like that. I've got good connection now. It's pretty tight. It's very tight, in fact. So I'm predominantly right-handed, so I need to take this bead, pop it back on here, and now this wire again is away from me. It's always away from me because I'm going to have to bring it around. I'm going to be wrapping that wire around so that the top wrap is right next to the pliers, and then the next wrap and the next wrap wraps down towards the bead, and that makes this nice and tight, really nice and tight. Sometimes so tight that this loop loses its shape. And as long as it doesn't lose its shape too badly, I don't care. And sometimes I don't care at all. Sometimes I even smush this together a little bit because I don't care. I just want it to be tight. If I was hanging something off of here, I would care. But I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm not that advanced. So that may be next, where the integrity of that loop needs to stay so that I can like take it to the next level. All right, so now with my right hand, I'm grabbing this pliers and I'm grabbing it a distance away because I don't know how many loops I'm going to make, and I bring it over and I'm pulling down. There's tension on this. There's pressure. I'm pulling down. Can you see that? Can you see that I'm actually putting pressure on it? Then I'm bringing it around. And I'm bringing it around. And I'm wrapping it down. Only do it twice. I can do it more. If I had more space, I would do it more. If you have more space, wrap it 3-4 times. It doesn't matter. I didn't lose the integrity of the loop. And look how nice and tight that is. It's quite tight. I need to straighten it out a little bit because it's kind of a little bit wonky. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? That'll be beautiful on a bead. And then I just take my little snippers, my wire cutters, and I just cut it off. And that's it. That's all there's to it. Now, sometimes this will be a little bit wonky. I just take my pliers, straighten it out. Straighten that out. Doesn't matter. It's so pretty. Look at that. And that's all there is to it. If your wire is soft, now where's this? This wire here, when you were wrapping it around here, this wire here, if you're wrapping this around like that, you have to be careful because as you're wrapping it around, you're going to tear it. You can't add too much pressure to this wire because this wire, the dead soft wire, will just rip. If you're using this, you have to be careful too. You have to add enough pressure to actually get it around. But if you add too much pressure, you're just going to break it because they're a little more brittle. So for me, with everything that I've done, I like using the 20 gauge wire, the 20 gauge jewelry wire, the 20 gauge beading wire, whatever the case may be, whatever we call it, that's what I like using. It makes the absolute easiest loop there is with the least amount of complications. Now I do love these head pins, the decorated head pins, because look at this. Look at that bead. Isn't that pretty? That's just a glass bead, and I, use one of those, and it just looks so romantic. It's a very romantic bead. I just love it. With just a few little extra pieces. There's not much to that bead, but it just makes it perfect. I love it. Anyway, I hope everyone got something out of this. If you did, leave me a comment. It really helps me to grow as someone who does tutorials and simple tutorials. Every comment, every feedback, it helps. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.